With electric trucks come new practices and new habits of use, and with batteries comes charging. There are currently 3 possible types of charging. Charging at the depot. The transport depots are fitted with the necessary number of charging points in relation to the fleet and its use. The trucks are charged after their rounds, generally at night, to make them once again operational for business. Charging on the road. Some dedicated parking areas offer fast chargers for partial or complete charging of batteries. The number of these fast chargers is set to expand rapidly from 2024, thanks to European regulations that will oblige member countries to set up minimum infrastructure network for trucks. For its part, the Volvo Group has created a joint venture called Milence with partners Traton and Daimler to contribute to the European ultra-fast charging network. Charging at destination. Trucks can also be partially or fully charged at the customer's premises during unloading or while parked. It should also be remembered that energy is recovered through braking, downhill driving, and efficient driving. Before we get behind the wheel and use these infrastructures, let's take a look at how the electricity network functions. It all starts with the production of electricity. It's worth mentioning here that EU states are working on plans to develop low-carbon production, particularly with the increased use of renewable energies, such as solar and wind power. Electricity first runs through a transmission of networks of high-voltage lines. When it reaches the distribution network, it's turned into medium voltage, 20,000 volts, and then into low voltage, 400 and 230 volts. It is then distributed to businesses and homes through a point of connection to the electricity grid. What particularly interests us here is when the electrons reach the depot, they arrive in the form of alternating current and need to be transformed into direct current in order for the batteries to work. That leaves 2 options for companies to charge their fleet of vehicles. Using a wall-mounted box connected to the truck's onboard charger. This box, which is called Mode 3 Type 2, has power between 22 kilowatts and 43 kilowatts, depending on when it was installed. The current is then fed into the onboard charger to be converted into direct current. This Mode 3 is recommended for nighttime charging. Alternatively, having external DC chargers, or Mode CCS2 fitted. They have power limited by the vehicle of between 150 kilowatts and 250 kilowatts, again, depending on the age of the equipment. These Mode 4 charging terminals are recommended for fast charging. It is the use of the vehicles that will determine the type of charger to be installed at the depot. By the way, do you know the difference between kilowatt hour and kilowatt? If we make an analogy with water, the kilowatt hour represents the volume of the container, such as a bathtub or swimming pool. The kilowatt, on the other hand, represents the flow rate at the tap to fill the container. The capacity of battery packs is therefore expressed in kilowatt hour, and the power of the chargers in kilowatt. Now, let's look at the charging times depending on the type of charger installed. Here are some rough estimates for 264 kilowatt-hour of batteries on a Renault Trucks E-Tech D16 tons with a body. A 50% charger for a range of about 120 kilometers will take 5 hours with a 22 kilowatt charger. It will take 50 minutes with a 150 kilowatt fast charger. To reach 80% charge and a 190 kilometer range, it will take respectively 8.5 hours with a 22 kilowatt charger and 1 hour 20 with a 150 kilowatt fast charger. Once the charger has been chosen, the electrical infrastructure must be taken into consideration, checking the available power. This is an important step that should be planned as far ahead as possible because if installation work is required, this can take time. For example, if the installed capacity is 400 kilowatts and a contract has been signed to use 260 kilowatts, there will be 140 kilowatts available. On this basis, there are 2 assumptions. If the trucks carry out only 1 round per day, nighttime charging with a 22 kilowatt charger will be sufficient. As the available power is 140 kilowatts, there will be no need for special modifications and additional investments. If the trucks have to make several rounds a day, overnight charging will not be sufficient. A 150 kilowatt fast charger will be needed to top the charge between rounds. In this case, the 140 kilowatts available power will not be enough. You will need to contact a local energy supplier to change your contract to increase the installed power. In order to optimize the infrastructure for multi-brand fleets, you will need to ensure that the equipment installed is usable regardless the brand of vehicle. Remote monitoring and management tools can also be used to optimize the use of chargers. To conclude, one of the key changes with electrical vehicles involves managing charging, which is similar to what we already experience with our mobile phones. There are slow and fast chargers. The choice will depend on how trucks are used and the time that can be spent charging. As regards power, you will need to ensure that the existing electrical infrastructure provides the right level of power for the needs of the truck's activity, in other words, a slow or fast charge.